All right, hello and welcome to another Expert Inside interview. My name is John Golden from SalesPOP, online sales magazine and Pipeliner CRM, joining you as usual from a sunny San Diego. And today I'm delighted to be joined by Kevin Dean, who is, and I'm sure, an equally, if not more so, beautiful sunny Tampa, Florida. How you doing, Kevin?
John, I am doing absolutely golden.
Oh, there
Okay, I
you go.
did that, didn't you?
Yeah. And Kevin is the founder and CEO of Mano BI, has over 2 decades experience in business process automation, CRM, intelligent automation, driving significant growth for enterprises, degree in data sciences, analytics, data-driven approaches, optimized sales and marketing and customer service processes, making Mano BI a trusted partner for enhancing customer experience. You also do keynotes, speaker on automation and digital transformation, and that's kind of what we're going to talk about today: is AI in the future of sales and marketing, how AI is transforming these functions, particularly through automation and hyper personalization. So, I mean, first of all, Kevin, can you kind of give us the state of play on AI? You know, we've had a few waves. We had a massive hype wave over the last couple of years. Where would you say AI is right now, particularly in regards to sales and marketing?
Yeah, that's a great question. So when you take a look at uh, the AI hype cycle, right? Right now, it begins with, there's a bunch of hype. I
Mhm.
believe now where we are is in this trough of disillusionment,
All right.
right? And I think what's going to happen soon is people are going to realize what's possible, what's not possible, how to use it, and kind of what to do moving forward. There's a lot of hype, but not a lot of people were able to realize true results because of not really understanding how to effectively go about it. So I think that's kind of where we are right now. Is there was a lot of hype around it, has been a lot of hype, still a lot of hype, but I think we're coming into this phase of reality check.
Yeah, and a lot of the reality check, I think you're right. I think it comes from not understanding where AI is today, what it can do, you know, how to implement it, and also I think people have listened to a lot of marketing speak,
Hmm.
and I think kind of thought that AI was just simple. You know, you just start using these tools and life gets good, and obviously one of the things that people have maybe discovered is just like anything else, if you don't have good processes, if you don't understand your business, if you don't have all of that, then hey, no tool's going to fix that.
You're 100% correct. And I think part of the challenge was this, and we saw this back in the early days of the internet. Um, there's a lot of tools that people are becoming extremely comfortable and feel familiar with using in their day-to-day lives as it relates to generative AI. And
Yeah.
specifically, he's talking about generative AI. But people will go out to their favorite, you know, chat GPT or whatever they're going to use, and they're getting super familiar with using that on a day-to-day basis. But there's a night and day difference between using ChatGPT for your personal life versus using ChatGPT for your organization and for your
Mhm.
business. There's a huge difference that a lot of times people haven't understood. And people have also thought, oh, it's so easy to use it for my personal life. It's going to be just as easy for business. And that couldn't be farther from the truth.
Yeah. And one of the things I think a lot of organizations and people didn't understand is when you bring AI internally into your organization, say, okay, and you want to have it secure and you want to have it running off your own data and all that good stuff, right? Well, your data needs to be cleaned, isn't it?
Yeah, that is probably the biggest challenge that we see people facing as it relates to using AI in a way that helps your organization, your businesses. We call it the 5 C's of data, right? And this is what people need to be thinking about. Like, is my data complete? Is my data clean? Is my data contextual? Is it compliant? And is it connected? And if you're missing just one of those 5 pieces, then you're going to have a major challenge in implementing an AI solution for your sales organization.
Yeah. So that's probably the first place that organizations need to start. Really, is having a look at their data. And as you said, I mean, if you go back through your 5 C's, their data, that it's complete, it's clean, it has some context to it, it's and it's connected. And I think that's something that I don't think people think a lot about when they think about data. Is they don't think about these things. They have major repositories of data in their organizations, but they don't think of them in terms like this. They just think of them as a repository.
Yeah, and that's a big challenge. And I think another challenge that we're seeing is that um, when you look at this from a organizational perspective, you have to have first things first.
Hmm.
And so there are many organizations who have not gone through a proper digital transformation,
Right.
meaning that they're still running their company off of, you know, Outlook and spreadsheets, right?
Hmm.
And that's how they run their organization. Well, you got to get beyond that in order to be able to leverage AI effectively, right? So you got to start with some of the fundamentals of a digital transformation, right? Are you using a CRM? Is your ERP connected to your CRM,
Right.
right? Do you have a order system, right? For inventory management. These are just the fundamentals that you need to have in place first. Then, once you have those fundamentals in place, we talked about being connected. Are your systems integrated?
Hmm.
Then, once your systems are integrated, there is this key component that people don't understand, and that is providing your AI solution with context.
Right.
Right. So I can see a list of customers, but without the context, I don't know what that list of customer means for
Hmm.
my organization.
Yeah.
And that is a new set of data that most organizations have never even thought about, let
Right.
alone have. And that
Yeah.
is an exercise that is required if you're going to be successful.
Yeah, so essentially, then, if I'm correct in what you're saying, is that you have to look at your data, as you said, and assign meaning to it in order for AI to be able to contextualize and assign meaning. As you said, if you just have a customer list, that's great. What does that mean? What are the components in it? What information are you trying to extract from it, and what are you looking for AI to give you?
Yeah, that's 100% right. You might think of it this way.
Hmm.
Um, AI has been often described as, hiring a really, really smart intern and bringing them into your company.
Hmm.
Well, if you bring in a really smart intern, salesperson, and you say, okay, here's the customer list, go sell to them.
Yeah.
Okay, what do you want me to go sell, right? What have they bought from us before?
Mhm.
What are their needs? What are their challenges, right? You've got to tell that new sales rep all of those things before they can go out and sell for you.
Mhm.
It's the same thing with your AI system. You've got to give it all that information in order for it to be effective and productive. But the challenge, and this is a challenge. However, if you don't go through these steps and get ready in the future, your organization is going to be facing major disruption both internally and externally.
Mhm.
So the investment is required in order for you to have the results that you want and to be, sustainable long term.
Yeah, because I mean, if you think about it, we've been talking about digital transformation for a long
Long
time,
time.
and a lot of people do, honestly, have paid lip service to it. But it seems to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, Kevin, it seems to me like in the era of AI now, if you don't have a serious digital transformation initiative, or that's not top priority for you, like you just said, you're going to get left behind very quickly.
Yeah, these are table stakes, right?
Mhm.
It's like those who have done it, they're ready to move to the next step. And
Right.
those who haven't, right, they're not able to get there. And I believe that, for most companies, this digital transformation is required even before you move on to the next step of
Mhm.
having a unified data program, right?
Right.
Because you gotta have it someplace before you can unify it, right?
Mhm.
So, but I will also say there are a lot of organizations who are out there who perhaps were laggards when it came to digital transformation. Now's actually a good time to be taking on this initiative because now you can look at it through the lens of now I'm not just looking at it to bring in a CRM or
Mhm.
ERP or inventory management system. I'm really bringing this in to automate my entire business process. And having that look will allow each organization to think about the way that they're looking at their business systems, the way that they're unifying their data. They
Mhm.
can do it from the ground up, right? So they become AI first when it comes to implementing this system instead of having to go back and re-engineer. So for those organizations who are listening to your show who may have been feeling a little bad about, man, I haven't
Mhm.
done this, that's okay. You know, you're actually probably going to be, you might even be a little ahead of
Right.
organizations who have done a digital transformation, but now they've got to go back and rethink it too, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah. No, I like that idea. I think that's a great concept of AI first, and I think that's kind of once you do that and you have those processes in place, I think that's a good way to look at things. Is always to say, okay, what can AI do here? How can AI help us? It can help us in this area. Okay, let's do that. If it can't help us here, okay, let's use something else. But thinking of it, because a lot of people right now are thinking of it as an add-on rather than as a kind of strategic fundamental component of your business going forward.
yeah, and it really is not an add-on. It really has to be, a strategic, component, right? Everything has to tie to it, or nothing will tie to it,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And so you've got to have, aligned KPIs with success benchmarks across the organization, and then you have to have, the right AI strategy and governance policies in place. You've got to have, your customer life cycle, mapped out. All of these things are required, and you can use AI to help you touch, because AI is going to touch every component of your organization.
Mhm.
Because just like we're talking about sales here, right? The sales team doesn't work sell in a vacuum, and neither does AI
Yeah.
work in a vacuum.
Mhm.
So AI has to have the same access, understanding of every component of the business, just like anybody else within the organization
Mhm.
does. Because it's not just, there are a lot of point solutions, but we are in the phase of not just prompting, we're in the
Mhm.
agentic era of AI,
Yeah.
meaning that AI has the ability to perform multiple tasks autonomously across the organization. So, sure, we may be looking at a sales solution, but we're talking about pre sales, we're talking about discovery, we're talking about close. Oh, what happens after you close? It now needs to be handed off to customer success. Success has to go through and deliver on that, right? And all of that can be automized and
Mm.
handled using AI agents at key components and key steps, right? Because then you start thinking about upsells, renewals, and all those other processes that only happen as you're delivering your services. And so you still have to stay connected in order for your sales agents in order to be successful.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think agents are such a game changer. Not maybe not totally understood by a lot of people, but certainly, my belief is that uh, we will interact with software using natural language querying in the future. We speak to them. We'll expect the agents to do the work. We won't be learning the clicks and the drop downs and stuff anymore.
No.
We'll expect it to work. And to your point, I think if organizations aren't looking at agentic AI right now, uh, they're going to continue to lag because the agents, as you said there, can take over a lot of the work, which allows then the humans to focus, like in sales, allows the humans to focus on the creative elements of building relationships.
Yeah. And that's so important, right? Is to allow humans to be able to do the things that matter. Building those relationships, being strategic, setting the direction are
Mhm.
all key components that need to get done.
Yeah. And I think unfortunately though, I think sometimes people focus in the wrong places. Like we've had and we tested these out actually ourselves. I mean, you have things like people say, "Oh, now you can have a virtual SDR, right? So now the calls will be made by AI, and you won't be able to tell the difference." And we tested this stuff out. It doesn't work, right? Because it just we found that people realize, they're talking to an agent and they just start messing with it. But it doesn't work. So I think part of it is that you have to separate the things where AI can really make a difference right now to your business and the ones that are a little bit uh, gimmicky.
Yeah, I wouldn't say gimmicky. I would say that they're forward looking, right?
Right.
Because we will get to a place where you won't be able to tell the difference.
Hmm.
And we're not far from that. And so right now we're seeing, and keep in mind, the best that we have today is the worst that it's ever going to be.
Right.
Right?
That's true. That's true. That's
Right? So
true.
the best that we have today is the worst that it's ever going to be. And the best that we have today, it's glitchy. It doesn't work. It doesn't always work, but it's the worst that it's ever going to be. It's
Right.
only going to continue to get better over time, especially as technology improves. We have more access. We keep hearing on this all the time. More processing, quantum, all these things
Hmm.
will help to improve what's happening. But um, again, we need to think not in point solutions,
Yep.
but what's the strategic roadmap for my organization?
Mhm.
What
Yeah.
does that look like? And how are we going to get there?
And I think and I think part of the issue with that is if you think back, Kevin, say when smartphones first came out, right? What happened? People started buying their own smartphones, bringing them to work. They were outside the
Mhm.
network. There was no control over them. People were freaking out. Kind of similar things happening right now is in organizations, people are just going out and grabbing AI tools and they're using them, and there's no strategy around it. There's no, half the time the company doesn't even know what people are using.
Yeah, that's a major challenge on two perspectives. I mean, and you're using a great example, right? So we do look back when mobile phones were first introduced, and there was you couldn't bring your own phone, and companies
Mhm.
were issuing mobile phones. Well, you think about it now. One, people don't have regular landlines on their
Yep.
desk anymore, and
Mhm.
nobody gets a company phone. Everybody uses their own phone,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so I believe that there will be a world where in the future, someone bringing their own AI agent is just going to be the way that people work. And I think
Mhm.
that we're going to start hiring people because they're bringing their own agents, right? Uh, However, right now, what we're seeing is that because organizations don't know what they don't know, there's a lot of fear and misunderstanding. And when you have fear and misunderstanding, the first thing that you do is you try to lock the doors, right?
Mhm.
And that can be understandable because we do need policies, we do need governance, we do need security. There are a lot of unknowns that could cause really, really bad things to happen within an organization. 100%. However, what we don't want to do is to develop a culture where we stay locked down,
Right.
right? So, what we need to do is we need to communicate throughout the organization. We need to quickly ensure that we have the right type of policy and
Mm.
the right type of governance. And then we have to invest in building. We've been talking about this again. This is, again, another case for building the right AI infrastructure within your organization to be able to support the
Mhm.
way that you want people to work.
Yeah.
Because the other piece and consequence is if you lock down AI within your organization, your AI talent will leave to go to places that it's not locked
Mhm.
down. And so you're also going to be losing good talent that you're going to need in the future.
Yeah, and you also, I mean, at the end of the day, you also want to be able to experiment with new, new tools and stuff that are coming out to see if they're applicable to your business. So you need to build that into your policy as well as how do we make sure that we're staying on top of things that we we pilot things, we test them out, and then if they're right, we adopt them, and if they're not, we move on. But yeah, we don't just go either lock it down and either these are the set of tools you have and that's it.
No, you're exactly right. You gotta have, a good system for testing out AI. But again, that goes back to what are you testing and why? And you
Yeah,
don't know
yeah.
what you're testing and why until you have your strategy and your roadmap in
Mhm.
place. And then you go and play with the things that are in alignment with your strategy because there's so much out there today, right? So we advise people to be optimistically cautious, right?
Yeah, right.
So
Yeah.
you've got to invest, but you want to invest in a way that is smart and that it's in alignment with your future vision.
Hmm. Yeah, no, absolutely. And just and last question, you put on your futurist hat for a second. Where do you see AI going in relation to sales and marketing? Maybe where do you see it going in the next 6 to 12 months?
Yeah.
I mean,
So in the next,
by the way, once upon a time, I would have said in the next like 3 to 5 years, but look at us now. We're down to even 6 months sounds like a long time, to be honest.
yeah, 6 months does seem like a
Mhm.
very long time. But I believe that we're going to see the space continue to mature. I believe that a lot of organizations will continue to adopt it. And the way in the areas where they'll look to adopt are productivity, right, for
Mhm.
sales reps to get
Yeah.
rid of things that are wasting their time to free up sales reps to spend more time with customers. I think that's where we'll see in the next 6 months the use is really on the productivity side.
Yeah, no, I would agree. And being a CRM provider ourselves, we're building agents into. We have a lot of AI in there. We now have agents in there as well because yeah, I mean, it's all about at the end of the day. If you can make CRM productive, as you said, if you can take away all those rote routine tasks and you can allow the person focus on what they do best and do it in a much more intelligent and informed way, then you've got a winning formula.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah, well, listen, thanks very much, Kevin. All of Kevin's information will be below this video. But before we go, please do remind people about what you do.
Yeah. So at Mano we help organizations automate their business processes and get better results through AI. So we've been doing this for a very long time, and we're glad to help organizations understand their strategy and move forward successfully.
Yeah, and I would encourage people to check it out because, as we said, it's AI is great, but if you don't have the process or the digital strategy, transformation strategy in place, it's going to be a long and hard journey for you. So, thanks again, Kevin. Thank you for watching and listening, and I will see you all again soon.